Yo, this is your boy Slack Likely, aka Slack. Today, we're gonna look at this Sheigun cook. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because look, I even left it in. I went to his comment section after he posted this list, and I wrote in Japanese, I wrote Oricorio, and I got flamed for it. So now I'm gonna go in, play 10 games with this list exactly the way that the list is. And yeah, we're gonna see if because I'm thinking that us as content creators, we gotta have a little bit more sense with what we post on here, right? Because if you're posting propaganda, like straight propaganda, it could influence new players to spend their hourglasses on sets that they don't need to be spending it on. Like this, for example, you need to dig in the Ho-Oh and Lugia set just to pick these cards out. And if you for some reason believe that this deck is good enough for ranked, then I don't even know what to tell you really. But other than the fact that you probably saw it from a video, so I guess who can blame you, right? Because you wouldn't know any better. But I wanted to try it. It looked interesting too. Of course, I said Oricorio because again, this deck has no answer for Oricorio. And Sheigun actually even went in his comments and said like, hey, this is not a competitive deck. You should I don't really know what he meant by it, but when you translate it, he said throw away Oricorio. You can't really throw away Oricorio, but it looked interesting, so I wanted to try it. And of course, no hate to him. He does what he does. He's doing his thing. Just want to see if it's propaganda for myself, right? And I thought it looked fun, so whatever. I wanted to try it. It is a cool idea because it uses the Rainbow Bridge. It uses the Rainbow Bridge, and it uses Cabby, which I'm a big fan of, and it uses Flame Patch to energy accelerate out to Ho, because Ho is fire type, not flying type. It's fire type in pocket, or normal as it would be if it was flying, like Lugia is. But yeah, actually I did have a lot of fun playing this deck, I will say. It is a weird deck. It does have a really big Oricorio problem. I don't remember if it really has a sleep scam problem. It could, it might not. Electric is really good right now, so that's aside from the fact that it has an Ori problem, electric is really good, so you might struggle in that respect. Yeah, see right here, my Lugia got KO'd. And I have no hope of winning this game now that my Lugia has been picked off. Lugia is interesting because it does 180 damage, which is really, really good into the meta right now against most decks right now, especially if they have a Mega in them. It kind of KOs all of them. We are seeing a little bit of a resurgence of Blaziken. We are seeing a little bit of a resurgence of Sceptile in tournaments lately. But anything in Vespiquen, it KOs it. Anything in the Mega Man deck, as long as it doesn't have a cape, it KOs it. And this deck plays a lot of items. You can see that I have on the bottom over there has a lot of items. Actually, I wish I had been paying attention. I might keep a counter on screen. I think about it because while I was playing this, I was thinking like, wow, how many coin tosses did I do with Order Pad that hit tails? So I might, when I'm editing this, make a count. You might see it on screen. I'm thinking of the statistics of Order Pad, right? But this is, it was cool. It was neat. They have a lot of HP. Being able to turbo out Ho-Oh is awesome. Being able to bounce Lugia with Ilima is a great idea. But something about this just wasn't totally there for me. But I get where he was coming from though, and a lot of people are using Rainbow Caves right now. Mega Rayquaza is super popular. People are testing out Dragon Cooks a lot, so you can even abuse theirs. And of course, this deck is using a lot of items. I imagine that it probably wouldn't love seeing Chingling either. Chingling would probably be really annoying for this. I don't know. I don't remember if I actually saw any. It's been a couple of days since I did these games, so I don't exactly remember what happened in them. It looks like I'm huge thinking about something. Like Oh, I know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about I have to gambit. Oh, there was a tails on order pad, by the way. I have to gamble on whether or not my opponent will have Cyrus. If they have Cyrus, I just lose the game. Yeah, I'll probably just forfeit here. Yeah, there we go. Ultimately, out of the 10 games, I will spoiler alert. I will say I'm pretty sure it came out positive, which means I can't really give it a grade of ultimate propaganda, but I did not see a single Oricorio in these 10 games, I will say. So if it's positive, like probably 60%, assuming no Oricorio, then it's probably a lot worse when ranked comes around and people are playing Oricorio, because it's such a good card. But yeah, this deck is super popular. I was thinking about this deck, this Heliolisk deck. See, my opponent is just going to dump damage into me, and I can't really do anything about that. Order pad, tails, bam. I swear, out of all the order pads I played, I think I might have gotten heads once or twice on them. It might be like a 2 for 8. That's my prediction, is 2 for 8 on order pad. But I guess, you know, if you play tournaments on Limitless, for example, that's what a lot of people are doing right now while ranked isn't up. If you play tournaments on Limitless, then you can definitely go with this. You could definitely try this, because there's a lot of tournaments that will ban Oricorio, and just replace Ice Pop with something else. If Oricorio is banned, then this is, I'm not gonna say it's the best deck, or I'm not even gonna say it's really top tier, but it's a deck that's good enough to compete. Especially if you have pretty versions of these cards. I know some people, those of us that were playing a long time ago, know that the Ho-Oh and the Lugias used to say image not available, or image coming soon, or new image coming soon, whatever. And that was pretty funny. For some reason, my second account that has my Twitch handle, that's the only reason I could tell, has an immersive Ho-Oh, so I was like, we gotta lock in here. Or maybe you might have even the deluxe 2-star exclusive Ho-Ohs, so it might be a good reason to play this. Something that I thought about this deck was that order pad, tails. Oh my goodness. Something that I thought about this deck is that if you wanted to make it potentially good, I don't want to say potentially good, but potentially like reasonable to play in ladder environment, then you would have to play an Oricorio answer. And in my mind, the two cards that you would consider if you were going to consider an Oricorio answer are going to be Minior or Drampaw. Minior because it's 1 energy, does 70 to Oricorio, and retreats for 1. And Drampaw because it attacks for 2. It's a dragon, it attacks for 2, but it always does 70. And you should be able to ramp Drampaw with Ho-Oh like a reasonable amount of time. A reasonable amount of the times if you're trying to get rid of Oricorio as your main threat. And then, you know, there might be a world, you know. The other options I thought of for Oricorio answers are, you might want to play some normal type that answers it, like Komala would probably be okay, because you play Ilima. So even if it's in the front, or I don't know, there might be a better normal by now. I'm thinking Komala because that's what Dark Tina used to use. But there might be a better answer even now that's normal type, that you can ramp with any energy like you would Ho-Oh, and then when you need to bounce it out, you bounce it out with Ilima. Because the huge problem with this is that if you play an Oricorio answer, this deck becomes a lot worse. Because you don't want to A, lead that Pokemon, and B, you don't want to see it if you're not going to play against Oricorio. Which is why I understand Sheigun saying, like, okay, maybe you just ignore Oricorio, like, somebody that, you know, flamed me in his comments was saying that Oricorio is only 5% of the meta, so why would you commit deck space to something that's only 5% of the meta? and you know, when it makes the rest of the deck so much worse. I'm not even sure if you said that last part, but I understand the theory behind it being that it makes the deck so much worse if you play an Oricorio answer. But yeah, other than if it's not an Oricorio answer, like I wouldn't recommend this to any new player. Strictly on the basis, the caveat I would say is, if you have these cards already, then yeah, you can play this deck, but understand that you will always lose to Oricorio. Always, 100% of the time. You have no answer for it. I'm like, unless your opponent plays bad. That's your answer, is if your opponent plays bad. Here, I guess I left this in. I might have forgotten about this one. I don't think I counted this one because my opponent left right away, and I would have actually died if they had the Ninetales and Corpfish. So really, it would have been an L. So it's like an L with an asterisk, but I don't think I counted this one. Oh, and okay, and now we're getting started with the next game. I had to cut there because apparently I didn't cut it in, you know, before, but whatever. Sorry about that. We're playing against Lucario, and we have Rainbow Cave, and we have Oak, so we have a decent little start here. And this thing is doing a lot of damage to me, though. That's a big copycat. That's cool. Tails, yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious to find out the order pad. It's like a love-hate thing for me with order pad, because it's actually a great card if it gets heads, and if it's tails, it's literally awful. So what are you gonna do about it? I don't know if there's actually a real answer to that. My opponent retreated to Munchlax, but I had Cyrus. No, I think I have Sabrina. Yeah, I remember I Sabrina and then I Cyrus him. I Sabrina and he retreats again, and I Cyrus it out, and I win the game. Spoiler alert. I think my opponent was like, I don't know, he probably should have aggressed a little bit more if he could have, but nah, he kind of got, he didn't really get beat by my deck, I will say. It's more like he got beat by Sabrina Cyrus combo and not having a basic. Man, there was something else that I was thinking about that I really wanted to play in this deck, that I thought you should play in this deck, besides the Oricorio answer, obviously. But I'm blanking on what it was right now. But yeah, at least against Sleep Scam, this is actually not horrible leading the Lugia, because Tails, by the way, it's not horrible because you can always bounce out with Ilima. So the turn that you're ready to set up with Ho-Oh, like I think I'm actually ready on this turn. I might bounce it out this turn. No, I don't. I have Flame Patch, so I probably could have, but I just didn't do it. I'm not actually sure why. I am playing, it looks like this deck is playing, what's that called? PCL? Pokemon Center Lady. So it should have a decent little, you know, a decent Sleep Scam matchup, at least, because we have answers, and we have a lot of HP. Maybe something along the lines of, like, Big Malasada would be cool. Like, more answers to sleep. Because if you're not going to play, you know, you got to play for some meta decks, right? You can't just, like, ignore what the meta is doing and just play your own deck, you know? What am I doing here? I think I'm thinking about whether or not I want to spend the 180, and I think I do, actually, because I'm looking at this scenario again. Yeah, I was going to say, if I was doing this scenario again, I would just spend the 180, assume I'm not going to die, because there's nothing in my opponent's deck that should kill me. Okay, that Cyrus made my life so much easier, because I needed to swap it. Bam, take it out, and now, easy Sleep Scam W. Goodbye, scammer. But yeah, I can't knock, again, I know I've said this already, but I can't knock the deck because I actually did enjoy playing it. I didn't enjoy flipping tails that many times on order pad, but I did enjoy playing this deck because it was kind of like, oh, it just does its own thing, and sometimes it wins and sometimes it doesn't. Maybe that's how you gotta play Pocket, and maybe ignore the ladder. Cave, Cave is actually good for my opponent. I bet you I probably lose this game. One thing that I did notice is that, yeah, decks that Lugia can't Oko the biggest mon in are generally an auto loss because, like, for example, Blaziken is just gonna KO the front. I'm not gonna one-shot it with Lugia, and then what? Yeah, it was just over. Too bad. I think that was the last game I played too, but overall, it's fun. Oh, I even left this in. Yeah, me flat dancing Oricorio. The deck was a lot of fun. I can't call it propaganda because A, I enjoyed it, and B, it didn't actually go negative. But, asterisk, I didn't run into any Oricorio. So if you don't run into Oricorio, this deck is cool. But if you do, you're probably gonna have a bad time. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to newer players. Maybe just someone that already has the cards and you just feel like screwing around in the emblem event. Other than that, Sheigun's cool. Nothing against him. I watch his videos sometimes. And yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say about it. Not propaganda. That's my score on it. All right, peace out, y'all.